Alright, so I was just thinking, I have some theories, basically, so to speak, on why it is that the world is so screwed up and how it's gotten so much darker, how the darkness has massively shifted the balance and taking control of more of humanity, the techniques by which they've done it, basically, and technologies. Now, again, I'll just say this is a theory because I'm not really even quite certain of exactly what the nature of this reality is. I mean, I've seen things that lead me to believe that we're in something akin to a computer simulation or spirit realm or something. However, there are technologies that, well, I mean, what was it that Tesla said? Something about viewing, the universe as frequency and vibration, basically. Well, how do people talk about, people being in a low vibrational state, people being in a high vibrational state? You gotta understand, if you want to talk about people, natural state of being, say light beings or beings of dark, whatever the heck, all this, light, dark, high vibe, low vibe, what's it all add up to? Waveform patterns, that's what it all adds up to. What broadcast waveform patterns? Light, sound, frequency that is broadcast. For instance, what are these waves we speak of? All, so we've got brain waves, right? We've got sound waves. You've got light waves. You've got radio waves. Ultra high frequency waves. Ultra low frequency waves. Extreme low frequency wave. You've got Wi-Fi, you got your Wi-Fi, you got your 5G, and so on and so forth. You got all sorts of signals being bounced around. And then, of course, there's, the ambient frequency of the, it's being pumped through the electrical wires, which run into all of our appliances, and so on and so forth. We're affected now by different frequencies than we were once affected by. If you look at, I'm just saying, it seems to perhaps coincide. In fact, one time, I've really got to find this article. I should put more effort into this because I've mentioned it a number of times. I was looking into some pretty obscure shit, like about Tartaria, mud flood, fucking, free energy technology of like Tesla kind of thing, right? And I found some like deep buried in an archive. I found this like article that was written back in like the 1800s by some dude that was he'd been like a scientist, but he also I guess was like a minister or something. So he had some understanding of like radio waves and the electrical grid and stuff like that. And he was talking about how like him and others had observed that there was distinct change in the behavior of people, and the crime rates went up, and people became less civil to each other. People became like more rude, more in a hurry. Basically, people's behavior changed on, in large around the time when these technologies were introduced. You look at things like when like the first when they first started pumping out like radio waves, and even when they first started like running telephone lines and stuff like that, and they had the signal amped up and stuff, that people would hear voices in their heads and shit. Some people are sensitive to frequencies, and they even get like sick from being around certain frequencies. You ever just have the power go off for a while? If you live somewhere, far enough out in the country, you have the power go off, and like a serious power outage. Power is out, you got no cell phone signal, etc. And you just feel like all the weight that you've been carrying just like falls to the ground. Your brain fog disappears, and you're just like, whoa. Because like I've had that happen, I tell you. And I'm just saying, like for instance, do you notice like people's behavior change at all? Like, I guess I'm like 40, so I'm like old man, but I remember back in like the early 2000s when they got rid of the regular, like 60 watt incandescents and the 100 watt incandescents that everyone was using in their house, and they're like, you've got to get rid of those, it's for the environment. And then everyone got, at the time, the compact fluorescence, which put out a higher level of radiation was being put out. There's a strange waveform frequency of the light. I could notice, of course, around the same time they're also starting to put in like fiber optic lines. So, but I definitely noticed like a change in people's behavior back then, and a change in the way I felt. I didn't feel as good as I did before. I noticed that. And I think I noticed that about basically everybody else around me too. Just, changing out the light bulbs basically. And then as we go on and on, they start introducing, going from 2G cell phone to the 3G to the 4G to the 5G, and the whole time I'm noticing like in slight increments, and they're putting in the, the smart meters and so on and so forth. I'm noticing incrementally, bit by bit, that people's behavior is changing, people's moods are changing, people seem to be more agitated and less happy and less, sociable, and that just people are, people don't interact with each other anymore. And it seems to me that this technology, is okay. I'll get back to the article that I basically, like, one of the things the guy basically starts ranting about, and I think it was more than one article that were both from like the 1800s or something. I gotta find that shit. I tried to find it one time. I don't know. It's a pain in the ass. Anyways, so the guy was basically, essentially theorizing. It sounded like he was theorizing that that like, demon spirits or something were using the electrical grid and the radio waves and stuff, that like their power was boosted by this, and they were using it like, well, like a wave to surf on into their host bodies, into their minds, into their emotions. It's like yeah, like, because like, spirit. Well, you look at that. Isn't that interesting? The way that the video just shuts off by itself right around the time that I start talking about a certain subject of demons using technology and the waveform patterns to boost their power and take greater degree of control over human metaphysiology and, human bodies and minds. Weird. Don't you find that strange that they would just automatically shut off right as I begin talking about that subject? Taking it to that level and mentioning the D word, They're like, shut up, you. Yeah, pretty much. Well, you get what I'm saying here, right? I mean, was that not a demonstration? Did they not demonstrate to you? I didn't shut it off. The recording just got cut off like the second I started mentioning like demons using the fucking radio waves and stuff like that, and frequency, waveform patterns, and and the power, to boost, to like broadcast. Well, I mean, it's like this, right? I mean, let's take like a tyrant like Hitler, right? You put him on a stage in front of a crowd of 100,000 people, and big, scary, oh my god, he's got these people captivated, right? But then, instead of that, why don't you, put him on the radio, or let's say you put him on a television screen. You televise his speech to billions of people all over the world instead. Which one is worse? Which one is a kind of a boost of power, right? So that's what I'm saying. I think it's, kind of the same sort of concept in a sense that it's like, I mean, yeah, they influence people, and they influence. I mean, that's another way they do it. Obviously, influence the influencers, right? So that the influencers will spread the influence of the darkness to everybody else. That's a big part of it. But then, I mean, it's not just that. They okay, you gotta understand something. I'm gonna get into like a little more detail of what I know about this sort of shit, right? There's a thing called frequency following response, right? And another thing called another term to look up would be brainwave entrainment, right? So certain you understand like how about check out frequency attenuation, okay? Right. So see, you can tune frequencies, to whatever frequency you want. It's like, tuning an instrument or something, right? You can, and in the same regard, they've read, brain waves, for instance, so they know what frequency causes the frequency following response of the brain wave to react in a certain way to attenuate brainwaves to the desired frequency of the people that are programming the frequency that's being sent out to you. They can do this with flicker patterns, through light wave frequencies. They can do this with sound waves, with binaural beats, and so on, right? There's other methods of like mind control, so many being potentially employed. You've got your subliminal messaging, that's fucking legit. You've got I would argue steganography is a form of subliminal messaging, but I don't know. There's also, obviously, subliminal steganography and subliminal messaging kind of, I would say, hand in hand, basically. If your subconscious mind sees something that you don't consciously see, then, and of course, you got your, flicker patterns, frequency following response, and then there's, waveform patterns of sound waves that projected, and again, frequency following response, brainwave attenuation, at being attenuated to certain frequencies, so they continue to be alpha, beta, delta, theta, whatever, different waveform pattern, causes you to be more pliable to believe what bullshit that you're being told, or to make you in a, mental state where you're not. Okay, really didn't want me to record this. So yeah, think about it. And there's all kinds of other methods. Like, yeah, have you ever noticed, like, if you just kind of get into a certain, like, doped up. You ever just find yourself sitting in front of a TV and you're like laughing at some shit, and then you think about it and you're like, wait a minute, that's not even funny. Why am I laughing, right? Because you're just following cues. You've been basically hypnotized. It's just like God damn it, Pavlov's dog. Pavlov, trained his dog so that you ring a bell, the dog would salivate because it's expecting food. They've done this brainwashing shit. There's all sorts of techniques that are being employed, and a lot of them, electronic in nature. And of course, there's classical hypnosis and Pavlovian conditioning. There's fucking obviously lots of electronic methods, and there's fucking things like the Delphi technique, and they also have certain ways of speaking to you and a certain tone of voice, and they dress a certain way sometimes, and they'll sort of present themselves in a certain way, to come off as being more relatable and more trustworthy, so that you trust them and believe them. They make themselves seem more likable and caring. Isn't that true, Tom? It sure is. Back to you, Jane. Right? And they fuck with your head. There's so many different ways that these fucking, dark force, You mustn't trust the dark side. No. Seriously. There's many ways that they fucking have to mess with us. Dude, there's so many other ways I could get into. But if I could manage to record fucking much of a video, it keeps getting shut off by the... Oh, I'm sure it's just a coincidence that every time I mention something like, just certain things I mention, it's just like, oh, fucking shut it off now! Yeah. Oh, vaporizer, where are you going? So yeah, of course there's always good old pharmacological method, as Aldous Huxley would have put it, in his speech that pretty much I think should be absolutely required listening for every person alive on Earth right now. What was it? The ultimate revolution. Oh yes, everyone needs to listen to that immediately. Do it! There's a speech that Aldous Huxley gave at Berkeley titled The Ultimate Revolution, or Scientific Dictatorship, in which he so clearly goes over the methodology by which the human mind could be molded, manipulated, so that people could be made to be happy in situations which they should be utterly miserable. Oh yeah. Yeah, he wasn't just a sci-fi writer. He was an insider. You know, he was an insider. So was freaking Orwell, dude. They were both like insiders. They were writing fucking stories about shit that they were actually helping plan for the future of humanity, and now you're seeing play out, you know? Why do you think he was giving speeches at fucking UC Berkeley to big groups of people? Because those groups of people that were sitting there listening to him give this. Well, this is getting annoying. Keep getting shut off. I was saying he wasn't like warning them of some terrifying future that could happen. They were like laughing and joking about the things that they were planning to fucking do to us. That's, yeah. So yes, you should listen to him. And his questions, you know, the question and answer session after the speech, yeah, all that. He's got some other interesting shit that he talks about too. I don't know, I could tell you so much more about shit. There's the stuff I talk about is just, I'm just fucking scratching the surface here with the kind of tech that they got, man. I mean, suppose I shouldn't mention scalar waves, right? You probably shouldn't mention scalar waves. No, that would be bad. 0 point energy, scalar waves, no? No, probably shouldn't mention that. Shouldn't mention things like the V2K technology and, you know, other, you know, tons and tons of patents for mind control technologies, or the fucking, you know, massive pharmaceutical drugging, pharmacological methods for controlling the human species, you know. That's, yeah, right. There's so many things that are being employed, but I'm saying, like, spirit level, right? A lot of this, of course, yeah, pharmakia. What's pharmakia in the, you know, biblical terms, right? It's fucking sorcery, right? Well, what do you think they would, you know, back then they would consider, you know, broadcasting fucking frequencies and waveform patterns through our fucking bodies at a great distance with amplified power being fucking cast at us. You ever wonder why when you, like, you share your a video with your TV from your phone, it's called casting? Right? Yeah. Well, you know, it's the same way that your signal is being cast through the airwaves, and your phone is picking it up. But it's also, notice if you sit in your house that your laptop can detect your neighbor's Wi-Fi signal, and somebody way the fuck down the street, and so on and so forth. You realize that signal, if it can be detected by your laptop, it's present there, then it's present in your room, and that if you stand in front of your laptop and you stand between your laptop and the signal, your laptop will still be able to detect it. What does that mean? It means that the signal is passing through your body. You understand? Attenuation. You know? Alright. Just saying. And I could get into a hell of a lot more. There's a lot more fucking freaky shit. I guess I could. But going beyond this is gonna sound crazy. Like, you're gonna have to. I'll just do it anyways. You're just gonna have to look it up. Okay? Do some research, dig into it, find out that I'm correct. Or I can start sharing a bunch of source information from. I mean, look up Yuval Harari, right? Humans are programmable animals. They have, you know, videos from fucking, you know, high level, like, military intelligence guys giving speeches to, like, groups of army guys and talking about fucking mind control and weaponry, you know, right? Like, and about, like, you know, nanobots. You know about nanobots? right? You ever see the movie Gamer? Go look up the scene from the movie Gamer where this guy Dexter, the guy that plays Dexter. Oh god. And he claps his hands with chalk all over his hands. It's like millions of tiny robots, million times smaller than the this particles of powdered, It's talking. I don't know. Shit, I don't have to fucking share that. I've made some videos where I pasted stuff together, like putting pieces together like that, where I show, and I always get hit with like copyright strikes or saying it has bad language or nudity, or saying that it's harassment or bullying or whatever kind of shit, right? If I put anything that really hits with it's well put together, they're like, nope, can't have that, that's gotta go now. I'm on like my what is this, like my 6th, 7th channel or something, at least, most of which I had like recently, like, yeah. I've learned to try to like not make videos as good as I'm capable of making them, because, well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter that much because they've already got me throttled so much that I'm lucky if I get 1 or 2 fucking views on a video in like a year or something, when some other dude can like make their channel for the first time, rant for 2 seconds, and like, well, they got fucking 20 million views, Alright then. Well, things to think about. Have a good, well, good morning. If I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Truman, bowing out, right?